Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4. It is the season finale, but we also have to talk a little bit about last week's episode because we had to take the week off due to some internet issues when we tried to record last weekend. So we'll be talking about episode 12, Species 10C, and I imagine probably a bit more so, episode 13, the finale, Coming Home. So that is what we're going to do right now. So we have the conclusion. We have the arrival episode. This is what I'm thinking of last week's episode. Obviously, their solutions are a little bit different, but ultimately, they're faced with messages in front of them. They don't know how to understand them. They get through it a lot quicker than Arrival did, obviously, but that's effectively what that scene, or those scenes, reminded me of.
There's a lot of First Contact films, actually, it reminds me of.
Oh, there's a little bit of Close Encounters with the Lights, yeah, I suppose, yeah. That's
Even Contact with the ball that they go into.
Oh, sure. So what it says is that it ripped off every First Contact movie that's ever been made. Bit. They even mentioned the Borg at one point, so that's
Star First Contact.
That's Star Trek First Contact crossed off the list, yeah. Because they find out that Species 10C are kind of all connected, and someone says, like the Borg, and it's like, no, not quite like the Borg. This is kind of a unique new thing where they're all just part of one system. And it's like new to them when they realise that, oh, we're separate, we're individuals, we can do things against each other. That's a foreign concept to them. So, well, that's more the finale than it is last week's episode. But
we're not there yet.
This is going to be impossible to
It's true.
keep them apart.
We can just run through 10C real quick.
I mean, the main thing from last week was, Reno was held captive. But by the end of the episode, kind of like realized and convinced Book that what Tarka is doing is actually going to send like a wave back towards Earth and not Vulcan, Nivar. Nivar
Burton. Just remember Navarre Burton.
That's good actually. Navarre Burton. I like that.
I've already told you that before.
I'd forgotten it, so maybe it's not as good as I think it is, but it sounds good right now. So basically, he not only is it going to probably destroy this ship and Discovery, although Tarka, when he's confronted with it, is like, there'll be time for him to leave. It's fine. His attitude about like, oh, this might send the wave back that'll destroy everything anyway, more like just as bad as what the what did they call the thing again? Sorry?
The DMA.
DMA, thank you. Run DMC. So he basically goes, oh, it might, but I mean, Earth will have a couple of months to figure something out. Or that's his attitude.
Like, not right away.
Yeah, a couple months.
Of course, Discovery and everyone on board will blow up.
Yes.
And as well as 10C.
So he traps Book in with Reno. And I will say this. So I really enjoyed having Reno around heavily for an episode, and obviously she gets back on Discovery in the finale. I will say that when she beamed back to Discovery and she has the one scene where she arrives on the bridge, it was very clear to me that they didn't have her in the same place as the rest of this
Tig
cast.
Notaro.
Yeah. Because it was like...
All of her scenes, she's been very isolated, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can tell she's with Book, I think, in the scenes with him and Tarka. So she's obviously on a set with like the 2 or 3 actors that are in that particular plot line. But when she get beamed back onto the bridge of Discovery, there was a body double for the shots from behind her head, and then Tig clearly was just shot on her own in that room, because the shots were just a little bit weird. They were kind of making sure not to have anyone else in the shots of her face. And it was just like, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I noticed it. I noticed it.
That's why she wasn't really there for most of the season, right? Because of COVID and restrictions and stuff like that.
I don't think it's restrictions. I think it's she herself. I don't
preference also. Yeah.
Well, it's not even preference. I think she's immune compromised or something like that. So she's got something.
Oh, okay.
There was a reason why she couldn't be taking risks. Basically, I think was what I heard. But anyway, so I could tell. I was like, okay, it's fair enough. I'm not going to give you shit for it, but I can tell.
You know what really surprised me about those scenes of Reno on board the ship with Book is that I was expecting from the previous episode that she was going to be there for comic relief, because obviously Tig Notaro is a very funny woman. and their personalities would clash quite a bit. And we were figuring, oh, this is going to be, entertaining. But then she goes into the story about like when she was on the Hiawatha and she tried to save this lieutenant who was badly burned and kept grafting skin for him. And she kept treating the wound as best she could. But ultimately he died in like 7 days or something, or maybe more. Like it took 17 days or something for him to die. So she just sort of prolonged his suffering. And then she looked into his eyes, and when he finally passed, she could see them clearly and saw he had the same color green as her wife's eyes, who's passed. And I thought, wow, this is like a really heartbreaking story. Not at all what I was expecting from Jet Reno being on the board with Tarka. And like they barely interact.
And the finale as well, afterwards, she references that again and rolls in Book's planet and rolls in the alien that Tarka lost. And what was actually quite impressive with this is, she was used for a dramatic sort of, punchline is not the right word, punctuation might be a better word, dramatic punctuation, in the sense that her backstory, and there's not a lot of it, but what we do know of it, she sort of elaborates on a little bit here and uses that to talk to Book about the loss he's feeling and him trying to like find a way to deal with it, and the idea that Tark is obsessed with like finding his friend again. And honestly, probably the most impressive scene of this entire plotline for me might be where Book says, you're not going to see him again. Like you just can't accept the fact that he's gone, because he doesn't really know for sure that he did make it to the mirror world or the other universe. He just believes it. He needs to believe it, and he believes that he can get him back. And Book's like, no, he's gone, and you have to deal with that. And I thought that was effective. One, because Tarka breaks down and starts crying, and it's a decent sort of moment for him. But the main thing though is that Book effectively is getting through his own grief with the loss of his planet by having to give Tarka advice on his grief, and realizing that he's in denial and that he needs to kind of accept what's going on and what isn't. So it was a decent bit of writing in the sense, and I'm not using that lately because I usually say this show doesn't have good writing, and it normally doesn't, but I will give it some credit here that this was actually a fairly well made point, but that put their character stories together and all of a sudden justified why they have been together this whole time, because it was all building to this.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And also just not what I was expecting, Jet Reno's character to bring to it. And because she is so, she is very cold and she is very blunt when she's talking to people, that you don't really expect her calmness in this situation, where, I mean, you expect her to be calm because she is very, almost like emotionless when she's talking, kind of like Cronenberg in the show is also, although he is very in tune with his feelings, like he understands the way the brain works, he still is this a bit emotionless, but it brings out so much emotion. So like it's I don't know, just it's a character arc that I didn't expect, and it brought out, obviously I was devastated in that moment as well, just with Tarka. I don't know why I never really considered that he wouldn't be there also. So when like Book says it, I was like, oh, he's gone. Like I didn't even consider that, because Tarka believed it so much and I believed him throughout the show.
So this is just the delusion of someone grasping onto something to deal with their pain, basically. Yeah, it is nice that they gave Tig Notaro, like they worked around the fact that she couldn't be there that much, and found a way to give her a prominent like piece of the season, even if it was only really just a little bit in the setup of episode 11, and then mostly episode 12, and then a little bit here at the start of episode 13. They found a way to give her something that felt like really like a worthwhile part of the story, that felt like, oh, she has a really important part of the season now, even if it's not that long, relatively speaking, to the whole thing. It still feels it's one of the more memorable sections of the whole story. So
I also love that she uses the black licorice as like to restore like a communicator, and I just like the idea of her being a MacGyver
Sure.
And I hope that comes back again, like that she's able to just like take bubblegum and string and, make a car or something in the future.
You jump to car. That's what you jump to from string and bubblegum.
Well, I kind of combined the MacGyver and the professor from Gilligan's Island there.
Okay. Yeah, so the main plot, and this does neatly kind of roll through, because they're making first contact, and there's a lot of stuff about understanding the language, because that's why we compared it to Arrival from last week's episode. But ultimately, they're making first contact, and it's actually going fairly well. They're getting across their IDs and emotions. It's basically a combination of mixing those those feelings that we're feeling on the planet with like a light show, and they kind of you put one over the other, and that kind of creates the IDs and the words and that sort of stuff.
I like the idea that communication is not just about the words, but what else is behind the words, like the intention, and you get that by just extracting the literal emotion from it, which I thought really worked well. Which is
true for our language too. It's just not something that we. It's less definable. I mean, you can define it, but it's less definable in a language sense, because it's not part of the language like theirs is. It's more like tone. It's more how we say something. It's more like
you could say something in anger versus in joy, and it could be the same words, but obviously the meaning changes completely.
Yeah,
and that's just in English,
Yeah, you can say "I love you" to someone, and it'll come off as a genuine you're expressing love, but then you could say "I love you," and you know that okay, they're actually pissed, like they're angry, and they
or just like "I love you," and it's like. What does that mean?
They may want to murder you. Yes, it's there's nuance. There's all these things, and it all comes across from expression. It comes across from tone. It comes across from tempo, other factors. Like there's so many things that go into that side of language, but as part of what acting is that you have to be able to differentiate between even with the same words. Yeah. So. Yeah, so that plays out, but of course, Tarka's whole thing interrupts this, and it makes the aliens, the 10C, pull out, because now it's like, wait, what are these? Because Tarka is going to go and try and steal the power source. It's going to stop the DMA, but it's also going to blow up a lot of things, possibly hurt or kill 10C themselves. That's kind of unknown at this point, but all this plays out, so we end in this big cliffhanger where it's like we have to stop Book ship no matter what, because he's going to ruin all of this. And so there's a bit of troubleshooting early on about how to get out the bubble. Well, I'll just skip past that. It's not really that important. All on the fact that they're going to need help getting home at the end, because they destroy the
spore drive.
The spore drive, yeah, they can't jump after this. Luckily, though, when they do make friends with the 10C, they've got a wormhole they can make for their device. So they're like, "Hey, we'll make a wormhole. You can go home that way."
Right. Well, it's a little part of you like, is this setting up season 5? Are they gonna have to do a Voyager, where they're just trying to get home?
Nah, mainly because that was Voyager.
Yeah, it crossed my mind for a moment. That's all.
I just assumed there'd be like some sort of get out clause.
Also, before we move on from the 10C episode. The episode opens up where they take the dots, they're called the little droids, and they put them out into the orb thing, and then they spray the message of peace. And then this Abyss, another First Contact movie, this Abyss monster, like just sucks in all the dots.
Yeah, actually, no, it is. I'd forgotten this, but now that you've said it, I remember texting you, I really want to watch The Abyss now. And that's why I said that.
Well, then like the big wormy head thing comes and grabs the Discovery also.
Where's my 4K remaster, Cameron, you son of a bitch?
Coming.
So he claims.
But the dots squeal in like fear or pain or something. And again, it's making me going, I don't want droids in my Star Trek. If they are sentient, if they have feelings, then you shouldn't be sending them to die.
Honestly, that just felt like an emotional manipulation, because they shouldn't be making noises and squealing like they're scared of death, but they are, because it'll make the audience go, "Aww,"
because they're cute. Yes, yeah. But again, that's why they shouldn't be doing it. They should be doing it. It's a faux pas.
Do you know what?
Shouldn't be in Star Trek.
I do think there's things to nitpick in these last 2 episodes, because it is still very much Discovery with some of its sappier like character writing and things like that. But I want to give some credit for the fact that it doesn't chicken out of just having the peaceful resolution where the 10C are empathetic. They are nice when they find out what their device is doing to people and that it's killed someone's planet. They are, they communicate that they're very sad. And it's this big visual, of course, because there's these big, huge, floating monsters, effectively. Forgive the words, but that's what they look like to us because they're so big. And they're just kind of floating and they're sending these light messages. I will say, I don't know if I quite, but based on all the language stuff from the previous episode, I don't know if I buy some of the very complex sentences that Saru was able to send back to them this episode.
They kept saying Zora, she's working on it, she's working on it as fast as she can and stuff. And like she's saying, by the end of the episode, she's like, oh yeah, I can basically say whatever you want now. By the time they're actually on the ground.
Yeah, so I will say my least favorite thing about the finale was kind of them chickening out because it looks like Book has died, right? Book, when his ship gets destroyed, Tarka's accepting death and he might travel to another dimension in the blast because that's enough energy to travel with his thing. So maybe there's this sort of like at the end.
He even says maybe I'll just go in the afterlife. Yeah. Who knows?
So there's some ambiguity there if you want to believe he has a happier ending, that's nice. But he does like try to beam Book back. And Book almost beams out of the Discovery, but then it kind of fades away like, oh, something interfered with the signal and he's just lost. And Michael starts crying, all the rest of it. I understand the desire to have a scene where he gets to talk to the 10C because he's the one who lost his planet. And I'm not against that as an idea. I also like the fact that there's going to be at least some sort of consequences for all the things he did this season, even though the intentions were good. Like there has to be consequences. I also like that. The way they bring him back, though, it's this like angelic light, and the way the camera's swooping in, it kind of made me roll my eyes a little bit. I'm like, okay, we're maybe overdoing this a little bit from a moment.
When I thought he died, I was shocked. Like I really didn't think they were going to do it. Like I thought even when the president is having her Independence Day moment, hey boys,
which I guess technically Independence Day is also a First Contact movie.
Yes, also First Contact movie. She gets saved though because they're able to beam her out in time.
Yeah, it was a maybe suicide mission that she went on.
It was a maybe. Yeah. It was it was possible.
It's also a redemption because she helped Book and Tarka.
Right. Anyway, so when I thought that, when they get the signal, Burnham's like, oh God, we got him, thank God. And then the signal just fades away, and it's just her look of like she wants to ask the question, like, did we get it? But like she doesn't even finish, like, because she knows the answer, is so heartbreaking. And Shaniqua Martin Green is a great actress, and in that moment, like, I really felt that he was dead, and it got me good. Like I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. And like she has her like moment of like accepting what happened, and then just going back into captain mode because she has to to save her planet. Yeah,
I liked Owo's face when she asked that question because like she didn't say anything, she just kind of looks down and goes like, yeah, he's not there.
Yeah and it got me. I'm like, oh my God, they did it. Like I thought they were going to chicken out. This is the sad thing is I felt like they were going to chicken out, so I think the fact that they had the big angelic light as he came back, I was like, yeah, of course he's back. Like I just knew it. Of course he's back. Like I had that moment too. I'm like, oh man, I kind of wish that they just like let him die, not because I don't like his character, but because like that moment was really good, and now on a rewatch, like it's not going to mean anything.
Yeah.
However, I do really like the moment of Book and the 10C like sharing the communication with like the forehead lights and stuff like that. I actually thought that was a very good moment.
Yeah, because that was, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's his natural ability kind of starting to connect with them, right? Because he connects to like all life.
And if we were going to be able to record last week, that was going to be part of my speculation. I thought that they were going to, like, he was going to actually, like, that would be his redemption, would be like he would be the one who's able to really communicate empathy and stuff to the 10C, and then Tarka would be like, oh yeah, if you just asked us, we would have this power, we can just send you wherever you want. They would send Tarka away to where he wanted to go, but we didn't get to do that because
I do kind of
issues.
like that they didn't need to use him though. Like, obviously it was a nice moment that he did get to connect with them and they understood how he felt and there was like a bond there. But I kind of like that they were just good before that and they understood
Yeah.
and they felt bad and there was nothing
And
malicious.
he said that, that's not good enough. Like, you need to not have terror. You need to not have these walls up. You need to be, you don't need to like separate yourselves from everybody and be afraid all the time. And, he's the one who does the actual bargaining of not just stopping the DMA, but like not just going towards planets that are uninhabited, like just stop mining altogether, stop tearing apart your home,
Yeah,
and
because
our home.
the DMA's already stopped. If I kind of like when they go to ask if they'll turn it off, and when Saru, because he's the one that's getting the translations and reading them back to them, when he looks down, he has this little moment where basically they've clearly said, we just did. Like, it's already off. Like, as soon as you made that clear, this is what it's doing, it switched off in that second. Like, they didn't even think about it. And I kind of like that as a, like, no, they switched. They didn't even have to think. They just, the second they said this is about to destroy more people and more planets, they went, oh, flip the switch. No question. This is the opposite of Chernobyl, when all the guys are telling Dyatlov, sir, this is bad. Bad things are going to happen. There's graphite on the roof. You didn't see it because it's not there. Like, I'm going off on a tangent, but like, this is the opposite
Great
of that. Great show. But this is the opposite. This is no, immediately they say, oh no, we'll stop. Of course we want to stop.
I'll never forget Dyatlov either.
No.
Greatest villain of all time.
Yeah, and the poor actor like passed away like 2 years
I
later.
know.
It was, like, really...
he was so good in that show. God.
So one of the things we have to talk about is in the finale there's a subplot with Tilly and the Admiral.
We get Tilly back.
Where they are on one of the main ships that are helping evacuate Earth, and we get the dire numbers where, yeah, we can rescue about 500,000. And it's like, oh, that's not a lot. Given how many people are on Earth, that's not a lot. Same with Navarre.
I didn't realize this space station could go to warp also. That was kind of cool.
Here's what I liked about this is, and I say this a lot when I'm talking about other movies and shows that have possible world-ending events, is it's not really enough to just say everyone on Earth will die. Because while technically it includes everyone, you need to have a character there that we actually know and care about. So that's the genius of this, is you have Tilly there with the Admiral, and Tilly especially, like, I'm sure we all kind of like the Admiral enough by now, but Tilly's like the heart. She's the light-hearted one. She's always been kind of jokey. There was an old thing back in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there was an old adage with Willow, because she was the cute, innocent one, that if you put her in danger or you put her in turmoil, then the audience is going to take the threat seriously because you're threatening the most innocent one.
Vulnerable. Yeah.
And Tilly, and I'm not just saying this because she's also ginger, but like she kind of embodies a little bit of that, in that she is not the badass like military one.
She's definitely the heart of Discovery.
So,
which is why it was so upsetting when she left.
But that's actually why I think this is more effective. I think having her choose to stay, with Starfleet and the cadets and whatever when she did, I think this is more effective that we've not seen her in half a season than it would have been if we say there was a subplot for the last like 6-7 episodes where we kept cutting back to her just for a little few minutes every episode. I think that would have made her inclusion here less effective. The fact that it told us, no, she's going
We're
off.
excited to see her again, and she might die.
Yeah. The fact that she went off to do this thing, and they kept her off the screen until this episode, so that when we see her, we're like, oh, it's Tilly. Nice feeling of remembrance. And also, oh, you might die here. And there's scenes where she's basically sacrificing herself by staying with the Admiral, because they're going to try and hold the shields and stuff while all the last ships escape. So they're just waiting to die. They bond a little bit.
They drink,
and
I like this moment of quiet also before possible death. Like, asteroids, of course, are raining down. You can see some of them going through the barrier, the shield around Earth. She stays behind because she wants her cadets to make it, because that was, she needed to find purpose, and she found purpose like a lot of people do through teaching. And so it was important that they survived. And so she stayed behind for them. And yeah, like her... just, obviously everyone made it to safety, but her and the Admiral are still there. They're like, well, let's just have a nice moment together if this is the end, you know.
And the other big benefit of it is that not
was
only
nice.
is there people there that we care about that are under the direct threat that everyone, you know, the main plot's trying to stop, is that there's also someone there that we care about to react when it's solved. You know, when they realize that it's not happening anymore, that moment is quite effective, and that works. In fact, I was thinking about the Abyss again in this episode, because in the Abyss, I won't get too spoilery, but there's something going on in the world that the aliens they encounter can stop. And a lot of that movie towards the end is the convincing that they should stop it, that they should step in and not let humanity be destroyed. And this cutting back and forth and this having this effect on what's effectively a subplot, but the subplot, of course, is there to show us the effect of how bad it's going to be if they don't solve what they're doing. It really reminded me of the Abyss. So, I mean, take from the best, I suppose, if you if you're going to. I have not seen that movie.
Take from all of them.
Take from all of them. I've not seen that movie in so long because I'm waiting for like a decent.
Me too. I haven't seen it since VHS.
This better
But
be the year.
No, it will.
I want that special edition cut in 4K, and the week it comes out, we're recording that review for the Atomic Cinema Experiment, which, by the way, is a science fiction movie podcast. If you want more of me and Tara talking about sci-fi stuff every week, sci-fi movie podcast, go and check out Male Fuzz Movies for the video version, or check out the Atomic Cinema Experiment on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from for the audio version. Seamless. That was professionalism.
Well done. I was about to say that I regret bringing up The Abyss, but now I don't, because The Ace is a great show.
That's a great show. It's the best show with us on it.
I enjoy our almost and our already canceled too.
I was trying to think of something funny to say about it. It's the best show with like a Scottish guy and a Canadian girl. Or something like that. I don't want someone
Canadian
to
American.
Sure, whatever. Are you leaning more American now because of the whole trucker thing? You're like, no, I need to swing that
I
part
get to play whatever card I want. Yeah.
Depending on the 2016 was a dark time. You're like, oh no, I'm Canadian this year. I'm from Canada.
I'm Canadian. My birth certificate says Canada.
So yeah, but that was an effective use of those characters, I thought, in the last episode.
I agree. I thought this was really well done.
I did think Michael's speech at the end that played over a montage of everyone, like, you know, like the Admiral's back with his family, and there's this very saccharine speech being made. You know, it went a bit Star Trek Discovery towards the end there, but
I didn't mind the speech. And some of the montages I liked, like I liked just seeing Saru and Vulcan lady together. I thought they had a nice moment where she was just like, you know, like, why not? Like, let's just see where this goes, and you can call me by my first name, which I have forgotten. And and then you see them together, like working on the flowers, and like Saru looks all sharp in his outfit and stuff. And
everyone's going on vacation. Nice. You know, Culber and Stamets are going on vacation.
They're headed out on vacation, which is nice. The moment where everyone's like in a circle and like jumping around, I thought, I don't like that. that just seemed like, okay, yeah, I get it. They're friends, they're young, they're excited. But I don't know, like Geordi would never do that.
Were you expecting like a freeze frame for the credits to start rolling over?
That I would have loved.
So yeah, they sort of imply as well that because of this, a lot of places are rejoining the Federation again, including
Earth.
Earth's the big one. Yeah. The president of Earth shows up. You know what, they gave her such a big entrance. I guess it's just because she's president, but I was really almost expecting to recognize who it was. I was expecting like some Star Trek actor to be like, oh, they're president now, even though it didn't make it.
I was expecting something big also, but it's Stacey Abrams, who is like she's a politician here, and she's running for governor of Georgia, and she's been on TV a lot, especially when like Bernie Sanders was running for president.
So our big entrance makes sense then. So as a person people would recognize.
Yes,
okay.
If you're an American.
Yeah, I didn't recognize her, but the big entrance told me I should recognize her in some way, and I didn't, and I was like, so that makes sense. Okay, I kind of get that. That's a neat little like meta thing, but
yeah, apparently she's a big Trekkie.
It wouldn't make a lot of sense, of course, for any of the human characters because we're so far in the future. But that's not stopped them before, right? That's not stopped them with like Michael's mother or whoever showing up. So whatever.
Michael's mother, surprisingly, maybe it was her father, although we know he's dead. But like maybe he was secretly alive. And came to the future.
Look, it would not shock me if one day this show, like the actor they've got playing Spock. I mean, probably not because he's on the other show now, but like it wouldn't surprise me if just have Spock show up and like, oh yes, I time traveled.
I'm president of Earth.
Oh, what if when Picard and Co. in Picard season 2, when they come back to the future, they go too far and they land next to Discovery, like shit.
That'd be funny. That'd be great. Yeah, it would have been good if it was just like a Ferengi or someone that you don't expect to be president of Earth. Like, wow, we've really progressed.
Yeah. Oh, the
Ferengi.
The bartender on Discovery's Ferengi, I noticed.
Yeah, with the flaming Moes. I love that. Yeah, just a moment of, oh yeah, Deep Space Nine, more please, straight to my veins.
So it was just a nice little touch. I just noticed the Ferengi there.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I mean, it's not perfect. There's definitely things I could nitpick at. But, like I say, the saccharine stuff towards the end, some of the character interactions are a little bit too schmaltzy at times. But I think this is easily the best ending to any season of Star Trek Discovery. See,
I don't know. Season 1, when the Enterprise shows up, is pretty high.
But that wasn't even part of the plot though. That was like almost the post credit scene. Right? It wasn't post credits, but that's what it felt like.
Season 1 had the Klingon plot at the end, which was a little
shit.
Like. No, I'm not going to say that. I wasn't going to say that. Don't finish my sentences.
Let me run down the endings just quickly. Right. Season 1, shit. Season 2, entertaining but messy. Season 3 actually pissed me off based on the penultimate episode actually giving me a bit of hope, and then the finale just shat all over it. I hated the end of the Season 3. Season 4, I think the plot started off kind of whatever in the first half. Around the time that Book and Tarka team up, from that point on, so far about halfway through the season till the end, it became Discovery's most interesting plot. It became its most Star Trek plot that actually they saw through to the end. And there was definitely moments of like action movie Star Trek kind of sprinkled through as it would be, but the actual core essence of it and them making first contact and it actually just being, no, they are good, they're intelligent beings who have empathy, and this all went well. People should have believed in the plan to make first contact. The diplomacy should work, because that is the most Star Trek outcome of it. And they gave us the Star Trek outcome, which if they did that constantly, it probably would feel a little bit trite. But because this show has actively avoided doing the Star Trek outcome for its entire lifespan at this point, this actually felt really comforting and nice. And I was like, you know what? I wish they had the balls to keep Book killed off. Especially since like he's gone off to do some like community service or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But yeah, so.
But I like the justice system of the future is also like, you know, we're going to take intent in mind. And his intention the whole time was to save Earth and save humanity. And yeah, he was just misled, you know.
Ah, for sure. Someone who steals some food because they're starving is a little bit different from someone who steals a diamond because they see a way to get rich.
Money.
You know?
Delicious money.
There's nuance to everything, which was...
Yeah, I agree. I think this has probably been the most satisfying ending of the series. I think... I know I'm in the minority. I don't know why, because I think season 1 is great. And that whole episode where... The ending where, the Enterprise shows up was such a great moment and cliffhanger. It was like, no, but I want more.
That was just fan bait at the end though. That's all that was.
Yeah, but it just set up like, oh my god, we're going to see the Enterprise.
Yeah, and that meant you got the best character in Discovery history, which is Pike coming on board and
well, good news for you,
saving the show.
He's got a spin-off.
We got a teaser trailer in the last week or two for that, didn't we?
We did. We didn't really have a moment to talk about it, but I guess we can. I would
have to really talk about it. The only thing I would say is that they're really leaning into the closing credit music of the original series for this one.
That's okay with me.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, but it's just it's funny because obviously the opening Star Trek jingle is just kind of seen as the Star Trek thing for every Star Trek uses that. But Picard gets to use a little bit of the Next Gen theme, which is actually the motion picture theme, but whatever, right? But they get to use that. So it's interesting to me that to use the original track, they're leaning into that closing credits theme.
It seems like for some reason, Pike has been away for a while. His beard has grown out. They gotta bring him back in. Bring him back into the fold.
It was just in the opening titles as well, am I saying? They used that music at the start as well. Because even the original series had different music. Yeah, it went into that after the starting bit that everyone knows. Yeah.
Oh, you could just edit that out later.
I'm not going to edit that out.
Well, anyway, the Strange New Worlds trailer, I will say, it looks beautiful. Like, it really does look like they're, going to planets, and they're really putting the money into making those planets look cool and interesting. They're not just like different colors now.
The big thing is that they're promising this is actually going to be episodic. And while I generally prefer serialized television as a whole,
I imagine there's going to be a lot of serialized elements to the characters.
To the character, sure, but here's the thing. Between Discovery and Picard, there is such a thing as getting sick of there's something that's going to destroy the entire galaxy every season that we have to stop. So I really do hope it is episodic in the sense that they just have simpler one-episode stories, and the characters can grow, the characters can evolve. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be refreshing at this point to have a Star Trek show that is just, here's an adventure for this episode.
Plus, like, as a fan of, the whole franchise, it gives it a reason to go back and see, like, oh, here's an alien that was in this one episode. Now we can go to their home world and really get more backstory on all these little things you like. And, if you've never watched those shows before, whatever, you're just meeting them for the first time. But for the fans, this is something that we can explore more of and get more backstory. And I think that sounds very cool to me. Like, maybe we'll see Planet Gorn.
Yeah, I almost said maybe they'll get, Darmok, get tired of that. But I thought, no, this is set before all that, so they can't go there. That has to be... Well,
they established in that episode that they have made contact with that alien species a number of times, but they're just not able to make communication work.
I mean, maybe you could spin that into an episode, but I feel like it might be kind of awkward if they show up on this planet and they just, we can't communicate. Oh, well, we'll just leave then, I guess.
Lower Decks has a character from that planet on their ship. I know you haven't watched season 2, but yeah.
Oh, that's quite funny.
One of those aliens joins the crew, and it's hilarious, of course.
Yeah. Which, you know what? I know I've been relatively positive on this pair of episodes, but I will say that episode of Next Gen is an even better episode about communication between language barriers. I think that's a really smart episode. I was getting
some strong Darmok vibes from the Species 10C episode.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it directly pulls from that one though. Whereas like the 3 or 4 movies,
trying to communicate, without a language that is seemingly incomprehensible.
Conceptually, yeah, but the 3 or 4 movies we compared it to, it feels like it's directly taking scenes or moments from. So right. The Abyss, First Contact, Arrival, Contact itself,
Close
Encounters. It was more than 3 or 4. I was underselling it. It was more like 6 or 7. But
I mean, all the writers must have done their research.
Since you called the general lady's her like sort of suicide mission as the Independence Day moment of what's his face, Dennis Quaid, going up with the biplane in Independence Day. I almost wish we got a shot of her flying towards them going, "It's me, boys, I'm back."
Yeah.
Even though it would have made no sense. It would have made no sense in the context of the episode, but I don't care.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about that moment is that, he was probed in the anus by the aliens, and then he just went right up the rectum of their ship.
Yeah. Well,
what a beautiful film.
Well, I mean, on Picard this season, they could fly into that Borg ship and it would be kind of similar as an idea.
It'd be too sexy. I can't do it.
For anyone who's not watching Picard,
the Borg ship is now a vagina.
Yes, the Borg ship has a very vagina-esque quality to it. And it opens up and everything. So
very distracting.
So, yeah. Maybe the ship from the Doomsday Machine episode of
that's so much bigger.
TOS can fly in. Okay. Well, this isn't from Star Trek, but the ship from 2001: A Space Odyssey that could fly in to complete the image. But It's a bone. So
All right.
this shit raised itself. This shit raised itself. What you want from
I'm
it?
done with this.
All right, I think that's enough of all that.
Fantastic finale. Very great season. Wonderful show.
Fantastic's a bit strong. This was a
10 out of 10.
This was a step up from, because their best season finale before this was season 2, which was still very troubled, but at least was entertaining in an action sense. Season 1 and 3, the less said of their finales, the better. So,
How dare you?
But so this was better. This was had things in it I liked. So
10 out of 10. Love the show. And hey, if Star Trek, if you're looking for Trekkies, like to put in your show, hello. I think I can act with a little bit better than Stacey Abrams.
Yeah. Oh, they had that final shot where the camera pulls back from where they're in orbit of Earth, and it's like they do that thing where they really sell the idea of how vast the ocean is, but then as it pulls further back, it becomes more like just the globe of Earth, and then it ends in a shot of Earth. So
it's a very pretty ending.
yeah.
Very hopeful.
Yeah. So there you go. So you said 10 out of 10. 7.5?
10 out of 10.
7.5 for me.
Hey, that's pretty good for you.
For this show, so it's a huge step up. Yeah. Yeah, I can't give it an 8. I'm not it's not an 8 yet. It's not earned
Well,
that.
I mean, season 5, we're not going to have a spore drive. I mean, unless they can fix it.
And the one in Bookship was destroyed at this point as well, because his ship's gone.
Yeah,
So
Book's gone. But they did have a prototype. Although Tarka made it, and he's gone.
but they got warp back though, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, except they can't go anywhere now. The
True.
whole thing with the spore drive is that they can go anywhere in the galaxy.
This is true. But now they've got these like futuristic 10C buddies to give them fancy tech that they've not seen before.
Well, I mean, they have to get to the edge of the galaxy again to do it.
No, but
Unless the 10C come to them with the wormhole.
the 10C will like give them wormhole tech. It'll basically be like, you know, in Babylon 5 when they open a jump gate? It'll be like that. They'll just open a wormhole. See? Genius.
That'd be a nice offering from the 10C. Like, hey, sorry, we blew up your planet here. Here's some tech.
Here's some fancy tech.
Now that you're worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, there you go. That is the Discovery finale. So hopefully you enjoyed our ramblings on it. Let us know what you thought of the season and the finale in the comments below. Do like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. And as mentioned earlier, we are reviewing Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 3 of that being the most current one. And yes, we will be reviewing Strange New Worlds when it hits in May, I think they said.
Yeah.
Sounds right. Okay.
May 5th, I think.
Yeah, it's overlapping with Picard. Yeah, so they're overlapping.
The season
things.
finale and the season premiere will be on the same day.
Is Picard only 10 episodes?
I believe so.
Okay, it's a little bit shorter. Okay. Well, compared to Discovery, I don't know if Strange New Worlds might only be 10 episodes too. I don't know.
It might be. I don't know.
Maybe 10, maybe 13. Maybe they'll surprise us and say, since you all like Pike so much, since Tara likes Pike so much, have 35 episodes.
I don't understand the appeal. Like, honestly, he showed up in season 2 and I was just like, why is everyone like so thankful he's here? Like, he's Captain Stepdad. Like, I get, Lorca was a bit traumatic for everybody, and now here's this guy and he's talking like a used car salesman. He's just some generic white guy who can kind of act, and like everyone thinks he's the savior of the show. Like, he's a garbage character. Like, he's the worst. Like, I just don't understand. I'm gonna love the show. I know I am.
I can't believe you're calling him.
But like, he's got a lot of work to do. I did genuinely love the episode and like his arc where he has the whole thing where he chooses to do the thing that's gonna kill him anyway.
Yes.
That was great. His acting in it was whatever.
I think it's interesting you're calling him a garbage character. In a show that featured Ash Tyler, you're calling Pike.
Yeah, Ash Tyler was a great character.
Oh, he was a shit character. Do you know what this is? Do you know what you have? You have Pikeal envy. That's what you have.
How dare you?
That's a reference for our Babylon 5 review fans. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know what you thought of the season in the comments. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. It helps out a lot if you do all those things. And of course, you can support all the content by heading over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1. And you can help us out by supporting us over there. So there's a thing. Go do that. Thank you.
You get lots of stuff for it too.
Thank you kindly. Yeah. So yeah, thanks once again. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?